All right. So something else that they brought up over here was Obamacare, was healthcare. You just talked about, unfortunately, having to bury your grandmother. You talk about Obamacare, and I mean healthcare as a whole. And what Trump was basically saying is, kind of what they've been saying is Obamacare is crap. And then what you hear Biden saying is like, well, you guys have been saying for 10 years now since we passed it that you had a plan, and they've yet to see a plan. And so what was the takeaway? We'll start with you, Mike. What was your takeaway in the conversation around healthcare, Obamacare, and then Biden saying that he's going to do the remix and roll out Biden care?
I thought the Biden care piece was interesting. I love how Biden rides Obama's coattails when it benefits him. And then when he thinks he doesn't, he tries to step out and act like he's better than Obama somehow. But I think the more important thing is how Trump keeps trying to say the socialized health. He wants to activate people. He wants to try to keep throwing the word socialism out there. He wants to make it seem like Biden is going to eliminate the option for private insurance. He wants to make it seem like the pre-existing stuff will roll over with his new plan. And the fact of the matter is, none of that stuff is true. At the end of the day, Biden wants to have a public option. It's an option, and we should have that option because healthcare should be a right. There's no reason why in a country like ours, we can't have everyone have quality healthcare. It's possible. The only thing about it is it's a choice, and it depends on how our elected officials feel and what they do. And I have been very critical of Obama's administration in the past, but I do think that it's fair to say as soon as Obama got into office, Republicans took the House and they made every single thing that he did difficult. So when Trump keeps coming at Biden so hard, saying, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? That was one point that I was glad that Biden finally made. It was because the Republicans fought that administration tooth and nail for every single thing that they tried to do.
Right. And Julia, any follow-up thoughts?
Let us not forget that when Barack Obama was president, that he had a Republican Congress. So Donald Trump keep asking, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? Well, he couldn't get nothing done. He couldn't.
Well, actually, I think the first 2 years, I don't know, it seems like a lifetime ago. The first 2 years he had I think he had everything. But then after that, you know what I'm saying, the midterm election.
At the tail end of his administration, the first 4 years, blocked. It was like a traffic.
It was even the first 2 years. I think the midterm election, people turned out. Well, I'm sure we got some historians here in the comments
about getting bills and legislation passed. That's what I'm talking about. And so when we're talking about healthcare, healthcare is not a choice; it's a right. Right? Like everyone should have healthcare. That should be a fundamental right. I see a few people in the comments talking about, they're having issues with obtaining healthcare. Healthcare for one person as a private pay, if you have like a job, is about $2,500 a year per person, which does not include deductibles, which is like $25 to $100 in copays, right? And that's like Kaiser, that's like United Healthcare, and that's expensive. I mean, who has $2,500 per family member to get them to the doctor, and then $50 every single time you take them to the doctor? That's a lot of money. And so, I really feel like we do need to come up with affordable healthcare for all people. Joe Biden talked about reducing the drug prices. He talked about supporting private insurances, which I'm glad he finally spoke on that, because in the last debate, he really didn't defend himself and take a position on private insurances. And, he talked about, overall people's fundamental right that they deserve affordable healthcare. Donald Trump talked about, and he talked about snatching Obamacare and saying, we'll come up with a new plan. But where's your plan? And, that's just like quitting a job before you get a new one. So we should continue to have the one we have in place, even if you feel like you can't make it better. But until you have a full plan, a new plan that you want to roll over and put in, we shouldn't just cut ourselves off at the knee.
No, I think this is another area where Biden laid out what his plan was and what he wanted to do. And then he turned the question back to Trump gave him the opportunity to explain what his plan was. And instead of explaining his plan, he decided to just flail and attack. And, you know, so it's not really clear what Trump's plan is. And he didn't take that opportunity to explain it. He dropped the ball there.
Right. And so, yeah, it was 2010. So Obama, they had everything, 2008 to 2010. And it was the midterm elections. And then, yeah, it was the last 6 years, nothing really moved. So, I mean, the thing is that I think what is a good point is that there's never really been an alternative that's been laid out. I think it's fair. People have criticisms of Obamacare, and even people who are on Obamacare and like Obamacare are like, yeah, this thing could probably be way better. But there hasn't been an alternative really that's been rolled out. I think the other thing though is like Obamacare is in court right now. The whole it's in court right now, and you know it might get dropped altogether, and people, you know, who are facing health difficulties, this could really be a crucial time for them coming up here.
That Joe Biden said there too was everybody that's getting COVID right now that might get rolled in with those pre-existing, they need care and they need protection, and if you get rid of that, you know how many Americans are going to be affected? Like, that's a scary thought to have.
Why would you ever snatch healthcare during a public health emergency? That is the stupidest thing ever. Like, even if you don't agree with everything, why snatch it now? That's dumb. That's stupid.
It's reckless.
It's reckless, huh? All right.